Dude, it's a vanity metric when people talk about like revenue number one. There's two numbers I'll probably care about most. One, profit. Two, mojo. So like when you really like in your quiet time, you good.
You were mentioning before the 1 to 5, we're jumping around a little bit, but it caught my attention was that 1 to 5 million, they may not have a good business model or they may not be running a great business. And every client that I work with now, I work with a lot of clients that are like wanting to get to 1 million. I have some that are above that, but a lot of them are trying to get there. It's like 6 figures trying to get to 7. And one thing I point out is how much do you want to profit?
Yep.
I tell them to screw the revenue number because I've met people who did $1 million. They were able to walk into the mastermind. They were able to walk into the conference and like, yeah, I do 7 figures, but they spent $900,000 on ads and to make 7 figures. And that doesn't feel good either. I'm sure you have too, like made millions of dollars. And then at the end of the year, looking at the taxes and going, well, I actually didn't make that much money. We collected a lot of cash, but it went right back out.
Dude, it's a vanity metric when people talk about like revenue number one. And like, this is where there's two numbers I'll probably care about most. One, profit. Two, mojo, right? So one, profit. How much money did you put into your back pocket? Two, mojo. What's your mojo like on a daily basis? Do you mean like you enjoying life? Like we're not supposed to enjoy everything, but it's a case of like, you good? Like, when you really like in your quiet time, you good? Yeah. Okay, great. Fantastic. Like that's an important part of it. And it very much is so, dude. Like I've seen it so many, like I dare say at least 100 times where there is someone that has really high revenue, but their profits suck like really badly. I've also seen scenarios whereby, let's say I've got an exact example. She was doing, I want to say like 3 or 4 mil a year, right? She downsized everything, did a bit over $1 million a year revenue, but was actually like doubled her profits, right? So drastically downsizing revenue, but massively increasing profits. So I think that's where it's a case of you do have to be very diligent on tracking the right numbers. And that is a great point that you bring up, Mike, where it's a case of, okay, well, what's the profit is the key number, because that's, for me anyway, with what we do. Because I'm more about how do you profit and put into your back pocket what it is that you want so it fuels and funds the life that you want at the end of the day. Your business should fund your life, not the other way around. And I think that's where if someone just keeps their eyes on the prize, and it's easy because your ego can feel good if you're tracking revenue or you're tracking like contracted sales or like any of that sort of stuff, because it just doesn't equal what you need at the end of the day.
What percentage of revenue for a coaching business should be profit? There's different coaching models as well, but just generally, are you, because I've seen 90% profits and I've seen,
I'll give you my range
profits.
I'll give you my, dude, if someone's doing 10%, go back to the drawing board, brother. I've run coaching businesses, and for me, coaching businesses should run from like, honestly, like 60, 70% profit margins, unless they're trying to drastically scale, which is they're really trying to like, okay, I'm going to push ads and I'm going to have some key team members come on board where overbeat, but like minimum 40 to 50%, like absolute minimum. And if someone's at that point, I know that they're pushing the throttle to really try and push to the next growth stage as well. Dude, after I sold the business, I did consulting for like a year and a bit. That was 93% profit margins. Do you know what I mean? Like it was crazy. Like I got to $1 million run rate in 63 days from starting, and it was at 92% profit margins.
You mentioned key players, key team members. For someone who might be running that 10% profit margin, maybe 20% profit margin, what key members should they be looking at, and what might be overhead that is not necessarily needed?
That's a tricky one depending on like what the situation is. Is the question like what team members are critical, or like what? Give me a scenario and I'll break it down.
Yeah, I'd say critical team members, right? If I'm looking at closers, setters, nurturing leads, and having my system set up in order to scale to 1 to 5 million, but still keeping my sanity, keeping my quiet time good, what are the key members and key team members I want in order to have that model set?
Okay, I'll go broad strokes answer. So I'll think about it. Let me go from bottom up, right? So I think of the business in 4 departments. So there's like marketing, sales, delivery, operations, right? So if you go marketing, what do I need in marketing? Typically, you should be the person at that stage where like you are the one in charge of marketing. Like you need what I call Fingerspitzenspiel, which is the German word for fingertip touch, right? Like you want to have that fingertip touch. And typically when someone tries to pull away too quickly, they lose that fingertip touch and shit hits the fan, right? So marketing is typically a case of you've actually got to be the one doing it, but maybe let's say you bring in someone to help you with the content. So you've got like a content manager, like you've outsourced someone like that. You've got an editor and that sort of stuff. So that's taken care of. Sales, let's say if you are doing sales, you might have like a setter or someone holding like the first call. I typically have businesses do a 2-call close process, then a 1-call close process. So you might have someone that's like a setter SDR role, and then you're closing. If you want to get out of it, then you obviously need to bring someone in. I think that should just be a commission-based only role to get done as well. Delivery, at that stage, you probably really only need 1 or 2 people to help with delivery, where it's a case of like just making sure you've got some sort of like client success person in place and helping with like the administrative work of it. And then with operations, at that level, you probably really only need 1 really good EA taking care of like the heavy lifting project management side of things. Maybe bringing someone that's a little bit more high level, like a good project manager, general manager that can really take it. But I call that, and I take this from Ali Sharfin that taught me a bunch of this stuff, dude. So I give props to him. And he calls that role an EA. Typically, people like to like put labels on people like, you're my COO. Dude, you've got 3 people. You don't have a COO. Do you know, like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, they kind of like inflate that stuff. So for me, like a good executive assistant can do a lot of the heavy lifting in like the operations, just making sure like payments, financials, reporting, all of that stuff is taken care of.